Well, good morning and welcome to this live learning session. We've compiled this session based on the 10 years of experience the Widener SBDC has working with clients in the state of Pennsylvania. And today we have the five most common questions entrepreneurs just like you have asked over the years. Today I have with me my colleagues Billy and Kevin. Can you introduce yourself to us, please?
Sure. So, hi everyone. My name's Billy Morgan. I'm a student at Widener University, getting my MBA in Change Management, and I'm an assistant business consultant here at the Widener SBDC. I do marketing, and that was my undergrad. So, at the center, I do the marketing, and I do help clients figure out their marketing plans and their marketing strategies.
Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Sakino. I'm also a graduate assistant and associate business consultant here at the SBDC. I'm also pursuing my MBA at Widener University with a concentration in healthcare management. My background is in finance, so I deal a lot with customers and financial projections. Also, I deal a lot with pre-venture clients, so when someone comes in with an idea, we help get them started.
Wonderful. So we have marketing and finance. Those are critical areas for any business. So let's get started today. So I know many people come into the Widener SBDC. They're loosely familiar with the center, its offering, and what it really does. So can you briefly explain and tell us about what the Widener SBDC does and what it is?
Yeah, sure. So the Widener SBDC is part of the national SBDC chain, but in the state of Pennsylvania, we are one of 18 SBDC centers. Our motto is to help businesses start, grow, and prosper. So we try and fill in the business gaps of knowledge that our clients might have, knowing that their expertise is in whatever their business is, and we try and fill in those gaps. We are funded by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Widener University, and the Small Business Administration. And that's really important for clients because that means we're allowed to offer all of our services at no cost to our clients. Another big thing about us is we are 100% confidential. So if you come in with a great idea, if a client comes in with a great idea, we can't take that idea and sell it to the person down the street. We can't pursue it ourselves. It stays with the client.
Yeah. So, thanks for the nice intro, Kev. And just so you know, some of the things that the SBDC does have to offer. So the first thing and what kind of excites people is that we do one-on-one consulting. And we like to call this kind of one-on-one coaching. We like to be there to help you coach it. We like to coach you and really put together a business plan and help you one-on-one, and a lot of that time you'll already be in business a little bit, or you'll be just ready to implement. Another thing that we do here at the SBDC is we do workshops, educational programs. So like the show today, where we're giving business tips, but we also do live in-person workshops where it's kind of more of a classroom setting. We have starting a business, marketing plans, financial plans, and we cover different topics, government marketing, things like that. And going off of the government marketing, we actually do have a consultant on hand who specializes in doing government procurement. So if you have a product or service that you want to sell that to the government, then he has helped many clients take the right path and take the right steps to do that. We also do information research assistance. So here at the SBDC, we do have access to a few different databases. So if you have market research questions or just general questions that you want answered, and we have access to these databases to really help you out and figure out those answers. We also do Main Street services. So if you're watching from a municipality or anything like that, and you have a little business community that you really want to help, here at the SBDC, we'll come out to you. We'll go see what your business community is like. We'll hold a focus group. We'll ask the businesses in your community, hey, what problems do you see in all these different things? And we'll hold that focus group will lead us to creating a very specific set of workshops that will be catered to your business community needs. We also do a little bit of international business, so if you're thinking about taking products or services overseas, we do have a consultant on hand that specializes in doing that. And then lastly, if you do have a product that is brand new, you want to go get a prototype, we do have a consultant specialized in coming up with a prototype and getting the patents and bringing that product to market. And so with all these services, they can help a broad range of clients here at the SBDC. So if you're the new entrepreneur who just has a business idea, we can help you. But if you've been in business for 15 years and you're starting to plateau and you need to take your business to the next level, we can help you do that as well.
That's amazing. So let's get this clear. The Widener SBDC works with existing businesses, entrepreneurs, to help them start, grow, and expand their businesses. And all of the resources, the workshops, the one-on-one specialized consulting, they're offered at no cost.
Yep.
That's fantastic. If you're just joining us, again, my name is Shawnee. I'm here with Kevin and Billy. They are associate business consultants and graduate assistants at the Widener Small Business Development Center. And we're here today to talk about the 5 common questions most entrepreneurs ask. Let's jump right into question number 2. What are some of the legal issues that I should be aware of when starting a business?
Yeah, so a lot of time that is the question that comes into the door. We have clients walk in and they say, hey, like, I don't want to go to jail. What can you guys do here to help me do that? So, and they're always like, how do I do this? How do I do this? But they don't ever know why they're doing that. So we like to start here and make you understand why first you need to understand the different legal issues that you're facing. So if you're a small business, you're gonna have a business debt liability. So if you took out a loan or anything like that to start your business, you're liable to pay that back. And you need to understand that just because your business doesn't work out, if it goes that route, you still have to pay that money back. So you have to be aware of that. We also have the product or service liability. So if you have a product or your service, you have to be able to do what it says, and you can't be harming people along the way. So if you have a product like how recently there were exploding phones, you don't want the exploding phones hurting people and making your business go out. So you are liable to make sure that there's insurance and anything that happens is covered. We also have the premises liability. So if you do have a storefront or anything like that, say you're a barbershop or restaurant or anything like that, you have to make sure you have these different things like a wet floor sign or anything like that, because if it's raining and someone comes in and slips and falls, you're liable as the business owner to make sure that everything is taken care of. And then lastly, we do have the employee liability. So same thing, kind of what we were just talking about is if you're a small business and you have employees working for you, then you're liable to make sure if they get hurt on the job or they need to be paid, that all those things are covered. So it's important to start there.
Yeah, and so going off that employee liability, a lot of that liability, as well as all liability, comes from different regulations. So there are different sources of regulation. So at a federal level, you have things like OSHA and the Americans with Disabilities Act. That requires you to be compliant for the health and safety of your employees and patrons. On a state level, you have things like the minimum wage. You obviously you cannot pay your employees below minimum wage. And then there are local municipality regulations that you need to be compliant with. And a lot of times these are zoning things. So where you're allowed to operate your business, what hours you're allowed to operate your business. And there are a lot to keep track of on the local level. The best way to do that is to just call your local municipality. Billy, I know that you have a great example of someone who sort of didn't follow through on their local zoning laws. And so.
Yeah, so all right, picture this. So we had a client come in and they were like, hey, we need your help. And we're like, okay, what's going on? And they're like, okay, so we just got married, and we're like, oh, congratulations, stuff like that. And they're like, so we wanted to open a business. We have this brand new house that we just bought together, and we both like fitness. We like yoga. So they're like, let's open a yoga studio. And then they were looking for a place to do it, and they're like, you know what? We just bought this brand new house. It's only the two of us living here. Let's turn the ground floor of it into a yoga studio. And they're like, all right, yeah, like then we can work from home kinda, and they didn't have to go out and find a place. So they took out a loan to renovate their house. They got the cool glass windows in the front, the mirrors in the back, the wood floor, and all the equipment that you need for a yoga studio. And they had a pretty cool house, looked like in a yoga studio. So they did all of that, spent all that money. Then they put up a sign in the front lawn and said, we're open for business. And then they get a knock on the door, and so they all excited to answer the door, and it was the municipality saying, hey, can you tell me about this sign? You're running a business out of your house? And they're like, yeah, like, you want to see it? And they're like, well, you know that this is strictly residential, and you're not allowed to operate a business out of your home, right? And that completely shut them down. A simple phone call to their municipality saying, hey, we're thinking about doing a business in our home. Like, is this okay? They would have saved all that money. And going back to what I talked about earlier, business liability, taking out that loan for a business to renovate their house, they still have to pay for it. So they have a really cool yoga studio in their house. Maybe their friends want to hang out, but they still have to pay for that. So,
And a simple phone call.
Yeah.
Just eliminated all that headache and hardship.
Absolutely. And in addition to regulations that businesses have to be compliant with, there's also everyone's favorite subject, taxes. So similar to regulation, there are a lot of levels at which you can be taxed. So state and federal are two of the big ones. So state taxes that you need to be aware of are your payroll tax and your personal income tax. Your personal income is similar to when you file your state taxes now from your employer. Federal taxes, you need to be aware of the FICA taxes, which also you still file from your current employer. But if you're starting your own business, you are now responsible for filing your personal income tax, your payroll tax, and a self-employment tax if it's applicable to you. And these are really important to be aware of. You know, Billy started out with the why is this important? Why do I need to be compliant with these regulations and laws? It's an easy way to go out of business. So with the yoga example, if that simple phone call would have changed everything. A simple consultation with an accountant is going to walk you through, these are the taxes you need to pay, this is your typical percentage for that. That's going to help you stay out of jail, honestly, if you don't pay your taxes. So that's really why it's important, is it can really ruin your business and ruin your ability to start future businesses.
And just to kind of go off of that, Kevin, a lot of times the business owners, they really, in the beginning stages, they look for these different laws and regulations, and then once they're like, okay, I complied with everything I needed to do, I got my tax number, I got all this, I'm good to go. And then they just start operating their business and continue to do what they do, but they never really stay up to date with any new laws and regulations. So like when Obama was in presidency, he came up with the Affordable Care Act. So any small businesses with 50 or more employees needed to start paying benefits to these employees. And a lot of small businesses that didn't have to worry about that regulation before just kept going on with their daily activities and never updated any benefit packages, anything like that. So they started getting fined, and it's a really good, really easy way to go out of business, that if you don't stay up with the laws and regulations, that it could really do damage to your business. So really, that's another why you need to really look at these laws and really stay up to date too.
Wow. Well, this is scary stuff, but I do understand it's extremely important. There are a number of legal implications when starting a business, and these areas are usually where entrepreneurs cut corners. So if they're unsure of the legal implications and ramifications, do you recommend that they consult a lawyer?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of times people come in and they expect us to be lawyers and tax accountants, which we by no means are. We'll do our best to answer those questions and help them in the best way that we can, but it's just not an efficient structure for us to be doing all this tax and legal research when really what we're meant to be when you come into our office are coaches. You're going to be on the field doing all the things you need to do for your business, and we're going to be helping you along the way, getting you ready for that. It's not an efficient structure for that if you're coming in expecting us to be lawyers and accountants.
All right. So just like you won't get the baker to pull your teeth.
Yes. Yeah.
You get the right person for the job.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're just joining us, I'm here with Kevin and Billy. They're associate business consultants at the Widener Small Business Development Center, and we're discussing the 5 most common questions entrepreneurs ask. If you have your own questions, feel free to type them into the comment box. And if you like what you see today, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. Let's jump right into question number 3. Why is the business entity selection important?
Yeah, so sort of what we just talked about. I mean, depending on what entity structure you select, there are different liabilities that you're going to be exposed to and different tax structures that you're going to be exposed to. So liability, you could be subject to limited or unlimited liability. Unlimited liability just means that you are considered your business, so if your business gets sued, they can come after your personal assets. They can come after your house, the Ferrari in the garage. Everything except your family. That's the expression. And then taxes. So if you're, depending on what structure you select, you could be subject to single taxation, which means your business profits are your profits, or you could be subject to double taxation, which means your business is going to get taxed at one rate, and then once those after-tax profits are distributed, you're going to get taxed again at your personal rate.
Yeah. So a lot of time with this, there's really 4 main categories of the business entity that we see a lot. You have the sole proprietorship, our sole proprietorships or limited liability companies. But the sole proprietorship, that is when Kevin was talking about earlier, the liabilities and the taxes. This is really all the business entity comes into. So when you're sole proprietor, your own personal assets are also the business's assets. So like when he said, if you are doing something and you get sued, because you're not separated from your business, they can take your house, they can take your cars, all those different things. So the risk level as a sole proprietor is very high. So you might want to think about the different types of businesses you run when picking this entity. So maybe for a sole proprietor, if you're just a speaker, going around to different colleges, universities, something like that, you really can't do too much damage. So a sole proprietorship, it's a little easier to get started, but you're you're exposed to all that risk. So something like a speaker is a little bit less risk.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then with the sole proprietorship, on the taxation level, what the IRS calls this is the pass-through taxation. So when each year when you do your personal taxes, you have to report all the gains, the losses of your business on your own personal assets. So you're kind of self-employed, and your business income is your own personal income. So you have to report that. And then if you're in a partnership, a partnership is very, very much similar to a sole proprietorship, except where the protection's not there, so they can come after either of you. And when you go to do the taxes, and the tax here would be based off your partnership. So if it's a 50-50, you each have to you report 50% of the business income on your own personal taxes. Or if it's 70-30, one person's reporting 70% of the gains while the other person's 30%. So
and Billy, I think another important thing about a partnership is if you get sued and they're going after your personal assets, they don't have to go after your personal assets in the proportion in which you own the business. So let's say, for example, Bill and I are in a partnership together, and we get sued, and Billy has a brand new Ferrari in the garage, right? And I have a 1992 Honda Accord worth about $300, right? They're not gonna come after my Honda Accord. They're gonna come after Billy's Ferrari. They're just gonna.
He has the deeper pockets.
He has the deeper pockets. That's who they're gonna go after because, truth be told, I have no assets to my name and Billy has all the assets. So, and we are equally liable regardless of the percentage of ownership we have in the business. And that's an important thing to know if you're thinking about starting a partnership. Other types of business entities are the corporation. So, this structure allows you to have limited liability, which means they can't come after the Ferrari in the garage if you're getting sued. They can only come after the assets that the business itself owns. But the downside to that is you also are now subject to double taxation. So the business itself is going to have its profits and loss statement, and that's going to get taxed at a corporate rate. And then when those after-tax profits are distributed to you, your employees, whatever, it's going to get taxed again at your personal rate. And then you have the limited liability company, which is sort of a mix of the two worlds, where you do have that limited liability, so they're not coming after the Ferrari, but you are still subject to the single taxation where your profits, your business profits are your personal income. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, there are multiple business structures, as you described, to entity selection. Mm-hmm. And it all depends on the type of business that you're operating, yes, the level of risk involved in that business, and it's also a nice way to separate your personal assets from that of the business. And I mean, so I know there are advantages and disadvantages for each of the options.
Yeah. So there's a lot more that goes into entity selection than what we just talked about. And again, it's sort of an efficiency thing. You really need to discuss this with a lawyer because there are more considerations than what we just talked about. And they're gonna be able to walk you through. These are the full list of advantages. These are the full list of disadvantages. But some of the ones we just mentioned, those are really important to consider right off the bat.
Yeah. So, and just kind of what we're talking about is it really is up to you as the business owner looking at your company, what kind of risk you think you're going to be exposed to, and really kind of picking it from there. Opening a sole proprietorship or a partnership, it might be easier and take a little less time, but then you're exposed to all that risk. So by taking a little bit of effort to really incorporate yourself as a LLC or a corporation, it's going to be a little more work and a little more tedious and frustrating, but in the end you'll be more protected. So it's really up to the business owner and what they feel like doing.
Okay. So if I'm a helicopter pilot giving tours over the Grand Canyon, it would be...
You're going to want that limited liability. You're not, because it's a lot more likely that you're going to get sued for something. So you don't want them coming after your personal stuff.
All right. Well, that was great information. If you're just joining us, I'm here with Kevin and Billy. They're associate business consultants and graduate assistants at the Widener Small Business Development Center. And we're here today discussing the 5 most common questions entrepreneurs ask. If you have your own question, feel free to type it into the comment box. And let's talk about, why do I need a business plan?
I think, this is a question we get a lot. A lot of times clients will come in and they'll say, Kevin, I have this great idea for a business. It is awesome. It's going to make me millions of dollars. And the truth is, that is a great first step. That is awesome to come in to know sort of what you want to do. But in reality, that's not a business yet. If it only exists in your head, it's not a business. It's not making you millions of dollars yet. The great thing about a business plan is it allows you to write out action steps. It allows you to see what areas of your business you need to work on. You need to physically go out to a bank, get a loan. You need to create a prototype. You need to do all these things. It gets it out of your head and onto paper so that you can actually take real steps towards creating that $1 million idea you have, that $1 million business.
Yeah, and the business plan, it really allows you to kind of see what you want to get out of the business. So we always start with why when an entrepreneur comes in, and I said that earlier. But this time when they want to write a business plan, we say, okay, so let's just start off by asking you why you want to be in business. And if they're like, oh, I love making candles, so I wanna own a candle business. We're like, okay, but do you know? And you'll see in your business plan that making candles is probably only going to be 15 to 20% of what you're actually doing as a small candle business owner. So there's so much more. The making the candles, if that's what you're passionate about and you just want to make money doing that, maybe consider just going and working for a candle shop and saying, hey, I love to make candles. Can I make candles for you? But if you do want to be that entrepreneur and you want to take the extra steps and you want to do other things besides just making candles, being an entrepreneur and is a great way to go, and you can see it in your business plan. So we ask these fundamental questions in your business plan too, and that's what a lot of people don't see is, so they come in a lot of times and we say, hey, do you have a business plan? And they're like, yeah, check it out. And it's like a 1-2 page paper and it's just telling us what their product is. And yes, that does go into your business plan, but that's only the first question. So we say, okay, so this is a great place to start. You told us about your product, your service, what it does, those different things, but let's dig deeper and let's really write out a little bit more, and these are the things that if you go to a bank to ask them for a loan, that they're going to want to see. So after you talk about what product or service you have, let's start to talk about who, and this is very important in the business plan, is defining your target market, defining who you're going to be selling this to. So if I have a product, what are the characteristics? What age? Are they male, female? Are they 18 to 24, 40 to 60? Who exactly am I talking to? And this really goes into how, when I'm marketing my products or doing anything like that, what messages am I trying to get out there? How can I appeal to these people? Because people are going to have different interests and they're going to accept information differently and they're going to buy things differently. So if you really understand who you're selling it to, you can really define how you market to them. So that's very critical. Then the next part of the business plan we like to talk about is the why. And it's not why you want to be in business this time. This is, why are your customers going to buy your product or service? What differentiates you from what's already out there in the market? What value are you going to add to them? And in business, we're going to use the term value proposition. So what value added does a customer gain from using your product or service? How does it make them happy? How does it do the job that it needs to be done? So things like that.
Yeah, and going off of the what is your value proposition, why are people going to buy your product, it brings up another very important W question that you have to hit in the business plan is, will this business be profitable? If your business can't be profitable, that's sort of the ball game. You don't have a business at that point, just an expensive hobby. The truth is, if you take this business plan to a bank to get a loan or something, they might buy into, yes, that's a great idea for a product. Yes, your target markets are right. They are going to, in fact, buy that product. But if you can't run the business economically, efficiently, they're not going to give you the money. They don't want to give you the money if they know you're not going to be able to pay it back.
It's too much risk for the bank.
Yeah, it's too much risk. But it's important to note that if you can't find a way to run your business idea profitably, part of being an entrepreneur is identifying problems and finding solutions. So you already have that entrepreneurial mindset. So part of being a good entrepreneur is being able to walk away when the problem is too great and find a different problem to solve. So because you have that entrepreneurial mindset, I have no doubt that the people watching you right now are going to be able to walk away from their business idea if it's not profitable and find a different, more profitable one.
And Shawnee, just to kind of go into it and really let you know, let all the listeners know right now how important the business plan is. We at the SBDC, how I was talking about the educational programs earlier, we have 3 separate workshops dedicated to different things you're going to want in your business plan. So like the first step workshop, where we're kind of doing this kind of early entrepreneurs, what they need to know, kind of just the basic business plan ideas. But then we also have the second step one, which is like the marketing plan. So going into the who your customers are, how are you going to deliver your product to them, so what are their buying habits, kind of putting all that into your business plan. And then kind of how Kevin was just talking about the feasibility of your business, we have the third step financial plans workshop. So it takes all these different workshops for us here at the SBDC to really show you what's going to be in the business plan. So after going through our workshop series, you'll really start to develop your business plan a little bit at a time. So maybe you come in with 1 or 2 pages, but then after you do the first step workshop, you're up to 4 or 5 pages. You come into our marketing workshop, and now you see what we have to say, and then you add those things to your thing. So now you're up to 12, 13 pages. And then finally, the financial workshops and doing projections and stuff like that. So now you're up to 15, 16 page business plan. And it's really, it's going to develop, and it's going to take some time, but this is the building blocks and the foundation of your business. So if you start with this, and especially what Kevin was saying earlier, is a business or a bank is going to want to see this. We'll walk you through those steps, and we'll get you from that 2-page to a 16-page business plan that is going to really help your business.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad that you touched on the importance of the business plan, but you also touched on the importance of business planning. That is a nice way to launch a business and to sustain a business, because it takes those 5 W's and the will it be profitable to actually launch the business and to maintain the business. And if it's not turning a profit, it's just a really expensive hobby. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're just joining us, again, I am here with Kevin and Billy. They're associate business consultants and graduate assistants at the Widener Small Business Development Center. And we're here today discussing the 5 most common questions entrepreneurs ask. If you have your own questions, please feel free to type it into the comment box. And if you like what you see today, go ahead and hit that comment bar. And the last question, what can the Widener SBDC do to help?
Sure. So kind of what I was talking about earlier, I told you all the different services that we provide, but we also have a bunch of different tools here at the SBDC to really help you get started. So one of the first tools that you're going to want to know when you come in is the pitch and plan methods that we use here at the SBDC. So we say, okay, Kev, you have this great idea. Pitch it to me. I'm Shark Tank right now. Pitch me the idea. Get me to buy into your company. So if he can't do that, if he gives me this 10-minute spiel on what the product does, I've been working on this for 9 years, I think it's gonna be great, and I'm like, why am I gonna buy it? And he's like, because I've been working on it for 9 years, and it's just great, and it's not really going to sell me on it. So, and
plus adults, their attention span is about 8 seconds.
Yeah, so you need to be able to pitch your business really quick. And when you go to a bank, if you can't pitch it to them, then you'll have that business plan that we just talked about. But if you can't just pitch it to them, they're less willing to give it to you. So the pitch and plan method is, we get you to pitch it and sell it to us before we're like, okay, let's really sit down and crank out this 16-page business plan. Because if you can't sell it, then why plan it? So, and there's different things that you can do when getting help. Maybe you pitch it and then it doesn't really work out. We'll help you work on it and really kind of go through a little bit of the business planning and make you pitch it along the way to kind of really develop that.
So the pitch, from what you're describing, it's like an elevator pitch.
Yeah. So imagine you're in an elevator with a CEO of the company you're about to interview with, and you're about to go to the HR office, but the CEO's right there. Would you not say anything and just be like, I hope I get it in the HR office? No, I'd be like, hey, you're the CEO. Let me tell you about myself and why I'm going to add value to your company. So and an elevator is a short ride, so you only have 30
seconds.
seconds, 1 minute to do it. So same thing with the business. If you can't define who you're selling it to, what your product is, what value it adds in less than 2 minutes, it's not really going to work for us.
I guess it would devalue the whole point of putting those fancy words on paper for a business plan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then so we recognize that there are different learning styles and people approach business plans in different ways. So we do have a couple other tools that people can use. So we have the business plan workbook, which sort of walks you through step by step different areas of your business. We also have the business model canvas. So this is for more visual learners. So it lays out like what is your value proposition, who are your key strategic partners, what are your channels of distribution, and you can actually see by answering those questions what areas of your business are not fully fleshed out, what areas do you need to focus more on, really understand before you get to our final tool, which is the traditional business plan template. Before you get to that template, you need to be solid on all that foundational stuff. And then this business plan template will actually walk you through like page 1, you're going to have a title page. Page 2, you're going to have table of contents. Page 3.
Executive summary and
all that stuff,
okay.
yeah. So, and then so really what it's meant to do is just get you prepared. So these other tools are meant to get you prepared so that you can actually fill out the business plan template.
And kind of to go off of that, Kevin, is a lot of our tools here at the SBDC, they intertwine with each other. So if you're working on the business plan workbook and you need some marketing help, we do have a market research workbook. So there's different things, different workbooks that we have that you're going to want to go through, and it'll really help you understand the critical information of your business, and they all kind of work together to kind of piece everything.
I like that. So you have different tools for different learning styles, and the tools they can be used together to create, to help with business planning. So I really like that. So we're coming down here and we're about to wrap up. What are some of the next steps entrepreneurs should take?
Sure. So all the viewers watching right now, they've taken a good first step to actually find an SBDC, a resource to help them. But the next thing that I'm going to want anyone to do is figure out first if you're qualified to be running a business. And I don't mean you have a business degree, because entrepreneurs, they come from all different walks of life. So you don't have to, you could have never opened a business textbook and be okay. You can learn all these different things along the way. But let's play through this scenario real quick. So you come in, you pitch your idea to us. We're like, okay, this is great. Let's keep going. And then we're like, all right, we developed this business plan and everything a bank is going to want to see. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to the bank. And then you go to the bank and they love your idea. They see that you really developed a business plan, you sold them on it, and then they're like, okay, let me just punch all this into my computer. And then all of a sudden they say, oh, you have a 500 credit score? Like, sorry, we can't help you. Like, this is a great idea, but sorry, not today. So that's one of the first things we like entrepreneurs to go through, is figure out, are they qualified? Do they need to work on themselves before they work on the business? Because if they need to improve their credit score, then they're going to need to do that before they can run a business. So all these different things, and we actually here at the SBDC, we do have our new clients fill out this survey that kind of just is kind of a self-reflection and really understanding, are they ready to jump into that? And then,
so after that, I mean, really what you should be doing is you should be testing your idea on people, because you can have this idea in your head and you think it's awesome and great, and it might be, but you really don't know until you ask someone who you consider to be in your target market.
But many entrepreneurs, they're afraid to tell people about their awesome new idea.
You really have to consider the reality of that fear, the rationality of that fear, I guess, not the reality. The truth is, if they really thought it was that great of an idea, they probably wouldn't just steal it from you. Most people you walk up to on the street aren't bad people. They're not trying to get you out of something. But in reality, the person you're talking to probably also doesn't have the resources. They don't have the means to pursue that idea, even if they wanted to. Some people don't have that entrepreneurial mindset where they see the opportunity there. They're just like, yeah, that's a great idea. I'd buy that product. But they don't think, oh, I'll go make that product.
Yeah, and kind of going off of that, Kevin, is a lot of times we see passion and drive does so much for entrepreneurs. So they can come in here and pitch us an idea, and we're like, that's never going to work or something like that. But then they're so determined, and they have that drive to make it work, that they make it work. So if you go and tell people about your product, they're not going to, and you have that passion and drive, they're not going to make it work before you. So that's something also to consider.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah, and then once you've done all that, once you've listed out your qualifications, filled out some of our workbooks and things like that, then you're going to come back to the SBDC, and you're actually going to be able to sit down with a consultant one-on-one and actually go over the strategy for your company. These consulting meetings are meant to be strategy-based, meant to be for businesses that are actually planning on opening in the next couple months or are already in existence and have a business plan and things like that. So once you've done all this initial legwork, you'll actually be able to get access to that one-on-one consulting where it can really propel your business to the next level.
Yeah, and just to kind of clarify there, Kevin, in case some of the viewers were a little hesitant to what you just said. So the one-on-one consulting, yeah, those are the clients that are ready to start implementing or they've already been in business and they're just trying to take it to this first level. But if you are a new entrepreneur and you have all these ideas and you want to take these educational workshops and you want access to our business plan workbook and all these different workbooks, we encourage you to reach out to us, and we'll send you this information, and we can help you along the way to fill that out and get you ready to see that one-on-one consultant.
That's amazing. I like that the Widener SBDC has all these resources available to entrepreneurs looking to launch and can transition them from just idea into actual action steps for implementation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have time for one question.
Sure.
And it's from Kelly from Brookhaven.
Sure.
And her question is about target markets. Can you explain what a target market is?
Yeah, so say we're playing darts. You have the entire dartboard, and you're gonna just throw the dart. The whole dartboard might be the market that's out there, people that will buy your product. But you're always trying to hit the bullseye, that target, and think of the bullseye as your target market. So these are the specific people that you want to send your message to, when you really want to sell your idea and market to, and make your messages kind of appeal to them. So to really kind of think about it, so if you're a university looking to recruit students to come to your school, the dartboard essentially is anyone who hasn't gone to college yet, right? Mm-hmm. But then, so let's define that a little more and say, okay, high school seniors or high school students. So now you've kind of taken that dartboard and made it a little narrow. So, but you're still not at the bullseye. So now you're saying college students or high school seniors now. So now you're getting to like that little green part before the bullseye, and then you're saying, okay, high school seniors in the Delaware County area or the Philadelphia area, and those are specifically who you want to reach. So that's your bullseye. That's what the target market is. It's the specific people that you want to reach.
Yeah, and it's also important to know, like, a lot of times clients will come in and they say, my target market's whoever's willing to buy my product. And
So I can't sell my product to anyone?
the reality is you're going to sell it to whoever wants to buy it, but the target market is really used for messaging. It's used for marketing. So when you create flyers, pamphlets, a website, whatever marketing promotions or materials you're creating, you want to include your message that's really going to hit a specific group of people.
Tailored message.
A tailored message, yes. That's what you're trying to do with the target market.
Yeah.
Wow, wonderful. Well, thank you for asking. Kelly, thank you for asking that question, and thank you guys for answering that question. Please click in the description box, there was a survey there. Please click that link and take the survey. And guys, thank you so much for joining me for this live learning session. And we covered a lot today, and I'm sure entrepreneurs, you have a lot more questions. You can type them into the comment box, or you can feel free to reach out to us directly at the Widener SBDC. And our goal here is to help entrepreneurs minimize their business risk when starting a business. And Billy and Kevin, before we go today, can you share some final thoughts, final tips?
Sure. My final kind of tip to the viewers watching right now is don't be afraid to be open. So a lot of times entrepreneurs, they come in very narrow-minded and they say, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, can you just help me do it this way? And then we're like, okay, let's start to get you thinking a little differently. So how we said earlier, we have like the access to these different databases, or just you're defining your target market. If we find information along the way of starting your business that says, like, hey, this is where you originally wanted to be, but if you look over here, maybe the market's a little bit bigger, or you said you wanted to do this, but it kind of doesn't look like it's going to work. Why don't you try this? A lot of times entrepreneurs tend to be a little bit stubborn and saying, like, no, like, this is my baby, I got to do it my way. So, as an entrepreneur, be open to these new ideas. If we find this information, or we make suggestions, really kind of think about it and be open to explore it, because if you narrow yourself, you're narrowing the amount of money you make. If we broaden that range, your business, it could be open to unlimited possibilities.
Yeah. And the tip I would give to starting entrepreneurs is, when you start, you have everything in front of you and nothing behind you, and it's, for me at least, I get intimidated when I'm at that stage, but don't be. Like I said earlier, being an entrepreneur is all about problem solving. It's all about identifying problems and solving them. So you've already taken the first step watching this web show, and we know that you have that entrepreneurial mindset, and that's gonna stick with you throughout the entire business process. Even if, and Billy said, entrepreneurs come from all walks of life, so you don't have to have a business background to start a business.
You can learn that stuff.
You can learn that stuff, and that's what we're here to help with. So don't be intimidated by everything that's in front of you.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you, Billy, and thank you, Kevin. And to my entrepreneurs, it's a great day to be successful.